All right, so according to a leak from Bloomberg, basically Unity is going to do what Unreal is doing. It says here, Unity overhauls controversial price hike after game developers revolt. Video game tool maker Unity said Monday it's backtracking on major aspects of a controversial price hike, telling staff in an all-hands meeting that it's now considering changes including a cap on potential fees. Under the tentative new plan, Unity will limit fees to 4% of a game's revenue for customers making over $1 million. And this is important, guys. It said that installations counted towards reaching the threshold won't be retroactive. This conversation in particular about retroactive game sales. For example, I have 2 games released on every platform. They were made with Unity, Pinstripe and Neversong. Do I retroactively owe money to Unity? Well, the answer is no. To me, it was obvious that this was no from the beginning. Of course not. I mean, I don't even know if that's legal for them to require me to pay. It's like if Papa John's Pizza said, hey, by the way, we're changing the prices of our pizza. Every pizza you've bought for the last 33 years, Thomas, you owe an additional $1. That's not legal. You can't do that. However, this does shed light on how poorly Unity has communicated with us. Now, it's not only a communication issue. There's several other issues here, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Before we talk about that, guys, I did want to let you know there's a link below. It's a free course. I'm not going to make money off you from this. It's totally free. I just want you guys to succeed, whether you're using Godot, Unreal, Unity, GameMaker. It doesn't matter. Whatever engine you're using, you can make 6 figures with just a demo. I've done this, I think, 5 different times. There's a variety of ways to make money, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's totally free. Click below. I just want to see you succeed. Okay, let's go. Let's compare their communication skills with Unreal's communication skills. So this is Unreal's license page. It basically describes the Unreal free license, okay? They give us a very detailed breakdown of exactly what payment is going to look like, okay? So for example, the following simplified examples illustrate how royalty alternative exclusions work. Your publisher pays you $100,000 in advance on a royalty product you are developing. You do not owe any royalty payments on the advance because you have not earned $1 million in lifetime gross revenue. They continue. Notice how they're being very specific here, giving us actual real-world examples of how exactly we're going to owe money to Unreal. Okay, Unity did not do this in their announcement, and they should have. They should have given us an actual equation or example. Your publisher pays you $1.1 million on a royalty product you are developing that the publisher may recoup against future sales of your royalty product. Notice how they're going into the very nitty-gritty here. These are questions that real game developers who work with publishers who get advances are actually thinking. You owe only $5,000 to Epic for that advance. 5% of $100,000 because you do not owe royalties on the first $1 million. Okay, so all these questions that pop up in game developers' heads. For example, okay, if I make over $1 million, do I owe 5% on the $1 million? No, you only owe it on the $100,000. So as you can see, they're very precise about that 5%. Okay, now let's go back to the leak here. I'm pretty sure Unity is going to do this exact structure. Okay, however, they're going to try and give us an olive branch, give game developers an olive branch and say, hey, we're actually better than Unreal. We're 4%, not 5%. For customers over making $1 million. Now, what is the problem here? Okay, man, I hate to say it because I've met John, I've talked to John, I think I had a 45-minute conversation with John. He was really a nice guy, incredibly nice guy. I liked him a lot. He was fun, he was funny, he was conversational, he was sweet. It seemed I was in the Unity offices with him, and he seemed like he had good rapport with the team. However, the problem here is, yes, you could say all day long and leak. The leaks are kind of frustrating to me because I'm pretty sure Unity's PR team leaked this on purpose. But this 4%, no matter how low it goes, 1%, 0%, it doesn't matter because the leadership here has lost rapport with the developers, right? So you can change your pricing structure all day, you can backpedal all day, but now developers are concerned about the future. They do not know what the future holds because the leadership is the same. So if the leadership is the same, then developers are going to wonder, okay, what's the pricing structure going to be? Is it going to be 4% for 12 months? Is it going to be 4% for 24 months? Or is it going to be 4% for 2 months? And then it's slowly going to go up, and it's going to sort of happen secretly so that developers don't really know what to expect. Again, games, guys, they take forever to make. I've spent 5 years on one game before. Our current game is taking 2 years. Again, these are built in Unity. The problem here is that if it's 4% this year, is it going to be 10% by the time I'm done with my game? That's the real struggle, okay? And when you have leadership that has lost rapport and people have lost faith in that leadership, they're going to be scared to make that long-term investment in the software. Again, Unity's tweet here clarifying their statement. We have heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst the runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday caused. Well, it's caused more than confusion, right? And now, frankly, everybody's even more confused because they've backpedaled. And the reason why is because when you're constantly making changes in over the course of a week, you just basically create this very unstable environment. Again, it's like the stock market. Okay, I talked about this yesterday in my video. It's like the stock market. If pricing structures are constantly changing with software, and that software is used over a long period of time, it creates instability. And that instability causes people to want to choose something that's a little bit more stable or at least open source like Godot. Okay? Unreal being stable in its pricing structure. They don't announce crazy changes often, whereas Godot is open source, right? So those are the two options. You have a stable option, Unreal, and then you also have an open source option, Godot. Okay. Mark Whitten, a Unity executive, said the company hasn't yet announced the latest changes because executives are still running them by partners and don't want to repeat last week's communications debacle, which led to several clarifications. I mean, this is a problem, I think, with just publicly traded companies, right? Things just take forever to move. Repairs take forever. Unity has not put out that many statements. You can imagine if this was a private company, if it was my company, I would immediately walk back the pricing structure. I would immediately do a public announcement saying, I am an idiot, I shouldn't have done this. This is the pricing structure, it's permanent, or at least this is a 2-year pricing structure, give some sort of promise that it's not going to change for a while, and it would happen immediately. Whereas with a public company like Unity, these statements take forever to come out. And so trust is slowly degrading over time as we wait for all of these higher ups and all of these partners and the board and all these different C-level positions to agree on something, right? One of the most controversial elements of the policy concerned how Unity would track installations of its software. So yes, Unity's original pricing structure has this proprietary software that's basically, it feels like malware that's put in your game, and then that data is then sent to Unity, and Unity knows how many installations you've sold or have been pirated. That's what they say, but you as the developer do not. The good news about this leak is that it is all self-reported now. So if my game makes $1 million, it's up to me to report that to Unreal. Finally, in the meeting, John Riccitiello, I still don't know how to say his last name, but John emphasized that the new policy is designed to generate more revenue from the company's biggest customers, and that more than 90% of Unity users won't be affected. Again, this is frustrating because it's basically just saying, I talked about this yesterday, but it's basically just saying that, most Unity developers don't make enough money to live on, and most Unity developers don't make money off their games. So most of you are fine. But again, I think John is confused because developers are dreamers. Developers, they want to make something big, and they're making an investment to learn Unity. Just because I'm a Unity user that makes no money doesn't mean that my dream isn't to one day cross that finish line and become that 10%. Well, why would I invest my time, 2 years of my time learning a software when once I reach the 10%, I'm going to get charged with some strange algorithm that I don't understand, right? John finally said, I don't think there's any version of this that would have gone down a whole lot differently than what happened. I don't know why he would say that. There's a lot of different alternatives here. The first one is, yes, the pricing structure stays the same, but their statement is incredibly clear about piracy. It's incredibly clear about Game Pass, right? So for example, if Game Pass sells 1 million free copies of your game with their subscription service, Unity will not charge those. Granted, how do they even know, right? But at least in their initial PR or their initial public statement, they could have said that. And that wasn't even addressed, right? Retroactive game sales, right? Charging retroactively for previous Unity games. That could have been addressed in the initial announcement. You could see here, he says it's a massively transformational change to our business model. And I understand that. I understand that Unity has to make money. They have to start being profitable, especially as a publicly traded company. I mean, if we go ahead and Google how they're doing, Unity's stock, you can see here, they've got to start making some progress here. And you can see that this is an attempt to jumpstart some profitability with Unity. But this is the opposite of that. Now, in conclusion here, am I happy? Am I happy about this? I am, because I'm using Unity for a game we've been working on for 2 years. It's called Twisted Tower. I'm happy about that, but I'm also very apprehensive, knowing that they're publicly traded and knowing that they've tried to pull the rug out from under us before with a weird pricing structure. I'm apprehensive, and I don't know exactly what they're going to do for the next couple years. I'll be honest with you guys. I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that the leadership changes and that Unity goes through a rebrand, and that there's a genuine change, not necessarily in heart, because they are a company, right? The ethics of a company, I don't usually rely on the ethics of a company. I rely on what is actually profitable, right? So Unity is probably going to be thinking about profitability until the end of Unity, right? Unreal is going to be thinking about profitability. That's probably going to be their primary motivation. However, just because you're thinking about profitability doesn't mean that you're not going to make the right decision. Meaning, Unity, if they know it is not profitable to do these kind of weird pricing structures, if they know that hurts their brand and that ultimately hurts profitability, hopefully they will never do that again. And instead, they will check with developers before they decide to make some crazy decision. I think it was Lost Relic. I was watching one of his videos about this. And by the way, if you haven't followed Lost Relic, he's a great YouTuber, game developer. Basically said, look, you could have just asked developers. Like, I genuinely, me as a developer, I want Unity to be profitable. Ask me exactly what, poll developers, ask them what they're willing to pay and how they would like to pay. Because I want Unity to be profitable. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? Unity's stock collapsing is not good for me either, because I need Unity to survive to make great games. So ultimately, Unity needs to work with developers to be profitable. I think that is the ultimate solution. It's a great ethical decision to ask developers what they think, but more importantly, it's a profitable decision because developers are going to be the ones who make Unity profitable. So why not partner with them and ask them exactly what, how they would like to pay. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. And again, just be sure to check out the webinar below, Top 3 Secrets to Making 6 Figures Selling Your Indie Games. This is totally free. I'm not making money off of you for this. I just want you to learn what I've learned, which is, how to make money before you even release your game. In these turbulent times, whether it's Unity, Unreal, Godot, GameMaker, what this teaches you is, regardless of the software you use, how to make 6 figures before you even sell your game. It's not a gimmick. I've done this, I think, 4 or 5 different times. I know how to make money with my games before I even finish them. And I teach you how to do it in this free course. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Cheers.